that one. Moving on now to what trended on Sunday. We have here INEC displays list of governorship candidates in Edo State. We had the entire list rundown yesterday, also on Political Roundtable. All of the names. I mean, it's interesting actually. I really don't know what to look forward to as regards Edo politics, but interesting days ahead. But I think the gentlemen at the roundtable agreed that at the end of the day, it boils down to whether it's a 2-horse race or a 3-horse race, either it's an APC PDP Labour Party thing or it's an APC PDP thing. But then we can't discard the fact that other parties have indicated interest. We have PRP, the People's Redemption Party. Even my lovely, dear, wonderful Boot Party also has a candidate in the Edo State governorship elections. All right, we also have here using palm oil as vehicle lubricant is risky, and that's coming from an automobile engineer. I don't know people who use palm oil as a vehicle lubricant, but please stop using it. That's what is coming in from the experts. I guess I've never heard this before, but I just had to put that out there. Also, FS drop as foreign carriers unblock low-priced tickets. Apparently, high exchange rate taxes are to blame for exorbitant airfares. High exchange. I think this is what is common knowledge, but then this is coming from travel agents saying that the exchange rate and the taxes imposed on them is to blame for exorbitant airfares. And we also have here banks and foreign carriers that come together to review the $700 million debt clearance. And finally, story that trended on Sunday, the bill. Oh no. Oh, okay. Let me put it this way. Mixed reactions as regards, this state police conversation. So apparently, the bill has denied governors sweeping powers over state police, which has been a major concern for those who are a little bit, hesitant as regards, the state police conversation. So what we are looking at, or what the report is giving us, is that the bill is to allow commissioners of police to query the orders of state governors, and the State Police Commission will be there to break any deadlock. Also, however, in contrast to that, we still have the president is still in total control of the Inspector General of Police of the Federal Police. So there's a lot of reactions as regards that. I hope we can see it through the papers this morning to have further conversations as regards that particular one. Those are the stories that trended over the weekend. You're listening to Trends in the Papers on Mainland 98.3 FM. My name is Omobola Sandra. Fuad Sahid is our analyst. He'll be joining in via the phone line any moment from now. Please stay tuned.
You are listening to the Morning Express on Mainland 98.3 FM.
Good morning.
Thank you for staying with us. It is still Trends in the Papers on Mainland 98.3 FM. I have Fuad Said with me via the phone line. Happy New Month, Fuad. How are you doing?
Hey, happy New Month, Sandra. How are you doing?
I'm well. I'm very, very okay. I'm glad. It's a new month. It's a new dance. New things. I'm expecting new things in this new month.
That is good. You said you renew your hope every day, so I'm not surprised that you're expecting new things. But of course, Nigeria is a country where things happen almost on an hourly basis. So before you close your eyes and open it, something else has happened. We're just hoping that the month of April will be more positive news. March was an interesting month. It was, yes. Very interesting, mixed feelings there, positives, negatives. But again, we are hoping that, of course, the month of April will be more positive and good tidings for Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Said Fuad. I'm so hopeful. I'm excited. I mean, Boot Party has a candidate in the Edo governorship elections, and we are going to go all out to ensure that our candidates. Are you sure? Are you sure that person is not a placeholder? All those last minute people that would now say, "Well, I'll give you my mind." We would never do that. We are people of integrity.
For people who may wonder why we keep talking about the Boot Party, they are what's supposed to be their national secretariat, right?
Yes, that's just close to our office here. Mm-hmm.
And in the last elections, we made frantic efforts, to reach them. They are just a stone throw from our office, and
we're there over and over again, and
it's always under lock and key.
Always under lock and key. National Secretariat of boot party because of our tomorrow. Just in case someone is wondering what boot means, BOOT, because of our tomorrow, and because of our tomorrow.
It's an acronym actually. Yeah.
Apparently, it is. So
I don't think I will leave my tomorrow in the hands. The National Secretariat is always under lock and key.
Well, I mean, aside from the boot party, PRP also has a candidate. I mean, these parties are really, well, just as you said, it's something that we still need to just use one eye to just look at, because People's Redemption Party, in Edo governorship elections, I don't know.
Incidentally, the PRP is to be considered the oldest party in Nigeria.
Yes.
That's the party of Abubakar Rimi, the old PRP. So. But again, it's not about age now. It's about substance and capacity. And for me, I told my faculty yesterday, I actually think the two was race between the APC and the PDP. After a good of the PDP, and there is a Monday of of the APC. For me, I think Olumide Abacha of the Labour Party will just make the numbers. But if it's a 3 or 3, we'll say I go.
All right. Thank you very much, Said Fuad. There's a lot to talk about. But then, please, I'd also like to quickly put this out. Fuad, I don't know, people around you, including Mr. Shewan, or please tell them to stop using palm oil as vehicle lubricant. I don't know. I've just said that.
How would anybody even consider that? Things are happening, but how strange can it get, really, for people to now begin to look at palm oil
as vehicle lubricant?
As a motor vehicle lubricant? Don't damage the vehicle. Even the lubricants we have, the regular ones, there are still questions as to their quality when it comes to the maintenance of vehicles and all of that. And then how do you now get to the point where you now begin to look at palm oil? How does that even work? It's going to mess up the car, really.
All right, Fuad, I'm sure you also follow the story, on state police and governors and whatnot. I'm really, the new bill that's been, discussed on that. It's not really a highlight on the papers this morning, so I just want to take 1 or 2 cents from you.
Over the weekend,
yes, yesterday I read it in the papers that governors wouldn't be given sweeping powers, over the state police, and also commissioners of police still have the power to query the orders of the governors. And also there's a contrast though, that the president still has total control of the IG of the federal police. Yes. So just a quick one, Fuad, very quickly, so we can move to.
We're just scratching the surface. For me, it amounts to nothing really, because what the bill says basically is that look, the commissioner of police now has the right, when we eventually agree on state police and it becomes operational, that the commissioner of police has the right to decline the orders of the governor. But the same bill gives total control to the president to issue orders to the IGP, and the IGP cannot decline. Now, let me tell you, that we're just deceiving ourselves. The reality is that, look, in so far that the governor is still the one appointing the commissioner of police as stated in that bill. And the governor is still the one solely responsible for financing the police. I can tell you that the commissioner of police will never dare make an attempt to disregard the directives of the governor. If you understand what I'm saying. Because the power to appoint lies with him. The power to also finance. And in fact, if you check the bill, to a great extent, the power to remove still lies with the governor. So what are we talking about? So if you are appointed standard by the governor as the commissioner of police, and the financing of the entire police structure of the state still lies in the hand of the governor, and to a great extent he still has the influence to remove you from office, will you disobey his orders? You will not now, you will not just do it. I think we need to still be a bit more circumspect about this issue of state police. I know what I'm saying. It's not about all of this knee-jerk approach that we're trying to adopt. I think we should need more stakeholder engagement. We need brilliant minds to come together to ensure that we create a state police that will tackle the issue of insecurity. But in doing that, will not create a bigger problem. Because the reason why we have this apprehension is the nature and behavior of our politicians, especially with the governors. That with the way they are, if they are not in control of state policing structure, what would happen? I am sure some opposition figures will not even be able to enter state. How much more even contesting with them? So, as much as it has become desirable to talk about the need to create state policing structure, we have to be careful so that we don't create a bigger problem. One time to solve one.
Thank you very much, Said Fuad. That's just a quick one as regards a story that trended yesterday. I think it was a Saturday Vanguard Sunday. Let's move on now. 2 stories for today. This is trends in the papers on Mainland 98.3 FM. I'll start with the Punch newspaper. The major headline there: Easter, governors, senators beg Nigerians say hardship over soon. And we have riders to that. Tinubu will steer Nigeria to greatness, says Zulum. Other governors preach love, condemn crimes. Set deadline on war against terror. Kuka tells president. Pope seeks peace in Africa. The story is on pages 2, 7, and 27 of the Punch newspaper. So just very, very quickly, what we have here is let me start from the beginning. As Christians celebrate Easter, governors, senators, and other prominent individuals have urged Nigerians not to lose hope in the face of the economic challenges in the country. And so in their varying, Easter messages, or various messages rather, they express confidence that the economic reforms being implemented by President Bola Tinubu would soon end hardship. And let's us look through all of this reaction. In the Easter message, Borno State Governor Babagana Zulum called on the Christian community in the state to pray for Tinubu to succeed. And he said, let me on this auspicious occasion felicitate with Christian brothers and sisters in Borno and throughout the country, urging them to pray, for the president and for God's guidance. Also, Akwa Ibom State Governor Umo Eno urged Nigerians not to be discouraged by the economic downturn the nation was facing, but to be hopeful for a better tomorrow. All right, we also have here the Ogun State Governor, wonderful Prince Dakwa Abiodun, urged Nigerians to be hopeful of a better tomorrow. He said, and I quote, "Let us reflect on the significance of this season." Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu called on residents to be Christ-like by reducing the cost of commodities as the naira appreciates against the dollar. So, advising Lagosians at the Combined Special Prayer Service, he said, and I quote, "It's beginning to turn around. That's what we said a couple of weeks ago. There's nothing difficult that will last forever. Even at the national level, a naira that we all thought would never rebound is becoming stronger. It's gaining weight. Then we should be happy as citizen. There's a need to see the reflection in the cost of goods and services. People cannot continue to give reasons while it went up and now it's coming down. They also needs to reflect on the cost of rice, beans, tomatoes, and that is the message for all of us to begin, because we want to be our brother's keeper." That's the message from Babajide Sanwo-Olu. Delta State Governor urging Sheriff Oborevori urged Deltans and other Nigerians to show love to one another and be willing to make sacrifices for the nation's greater unity and progress. Godino Baseki also charged Christians not to lose hope. We also have here Abia State Governor Alex Oti said, in the quest to build an economically vibrant state, the welfare of the citizens was uppermost in the mind of his administration, and that no sacrifice was too big to improve the lives of the people. And Peter Mba of Enugu State urged people to emulate the virtues of self-sacrifice and love as exemplified. Similarly, Senate Leader Okoyemi Bamidele urged Nigerians to imbibe the sacrifice and pains of the Savior of man. I could go on and on, Fuad, but then one operative word that I can take, or one major word that I can take away from all of these messages, is everybody should, be sacrificial. Self-sacrifice is important for us to get to a greater Nigeria, except, of course, for Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, who is urging Nigerians to please let the as the naira is appreciating against the dollar, let it reflect on the cost of commodities. So which would you like to start with? The sacrifices that we are being called on to take by state governors, or Governor Babajide's statement as regards the reducing cost of commodities as naira is appreciating against the dollar?
Well, I think all of the messages are intertwined one way or the other. for the governor of Lagos as well. I think that has been the conversation in recent times. That look, a lot of people who sell things justify the increase in price of commodities, goods and services because of the rising dollars. And now that Naira is appreciating, one has thought that some of these things will start to come down. But in Nigeria, things don't happen that fast. That's why sometimes we pray that you don't have a situation where things rise, because it's difficult for those things to not come down when it comes to their price. But I agree with the governor that look, at least right now we should begin to see some drop in prices of some of these things that have gone up as a result of the dollar hitting about 1,900 naira to a dollar. But now that it's around 1,003, 1,350, 1,004, I think that margin is enough for us to begin to see some drop in price. But again, it may not happen very, very fast, but eventually, I think it's something that will eventually happen. Now, to other governors who have said that this is a period of sacrifice, Nigerians should endure, there's light at the end of the tunnel. It's the same rhetoric, Sandra. This is what we, and I must say, Sandra, yes, Nigerians, I think Nigerians are people who are very patient. They are very patient people, really. Some people will say that, look, quarter of what has happened in the country, it happens in other crimes. Some of those countries would have gone on fire. But Nigerians are very resilient people, very patient people. We are very enduring of all of the shenanigans of our leaders. And I think that for leaders to still come out and say Nigerians should endure more, the question I would ask them is that what are they on their part doing to reflect what they are telling Nigerians to do? They should show the example. You understand, Sandra? They should live by example. If you're telling us to sacrifice, you should see the sacrifice on your own part. But you can't be telling Nigerians to sacrifice, to endure the process, to live their lives at the end of the tunnel, when on the other side of the divide, same Nigerians you are appealing to, see that you are still living the same old lifestyle of waste and frugality. It's hypocrisy of the highest order, if you understand what I'm saying. You keep buying SUVs of 150 million, your convoys are still as long, as large as before, you're still traveling around the world, with huge extra quotes and allowances. Governors are still receiving full pensions and gratuity. People are starting taking office and retiring in the Senate. It's still the same of the same old wasteful spending we're still seeing. And here you are telling Nigerians to endure and be like Jesus. The question is, what part of the life of Jesus have they imbibed, the so-called leaders? Is there any part of the life of Jesus as a leader of the Christian community that they have imbibed as leaders? Look, what we know of Jesus Christ was that he was a leader that sacrificed for the people. He was not a leader that lived a frugal, wasteful life. He was very humble and humane and sent to the world. How many of those qualities have the leaders of Nigeria imbibed before they begin to talk to the citizens? You understand? And the funny thing, Sandra, is that, look, we keep talking about time. After April now, this government at federal and state level would have said what? 1 year in office. 1 year in office, it is still the same message of hope. Where is the action backing the message of hope? What are those actionable plans that show that indeed there is light at the end of the tunnel? Yes, it's darkness before dawn. But sometimes, some of these things don't apply when the right things are not being done. So we agree that, look, in the spirit of Easter, this is the time for Nigerians to begin to get more hopeful. But those hopes cannot be on vague promises. It has to be on actionable plans and exemplary leadership that we are not still seeing. Up to now, we have not seen that example being shown by our leaders, so that there's indeed hope at the end of the tunnel, right at the end of the tunnel.
Well, there's a lot of people who would, argue that in recent times we've been seeing some changes, some desired changes, as regards the economy, especially as regards,
what desired change?
Naira appreciating, and things seems to be looking good. So maybe there's a flicker of light, maybe not an entire spectrum, but there's like a flicker or so of light just there.
I understand what you're saying about maybe some desired change. The fact that at least the Naira is gaining strength almost on a daily basis against the dollar. But whether we like it or not, you know that what we are still doing is to create some form of artificial liquidity. Whether we like it or not, we are still trying to defend creating liquidity. The CBN still tries to do all it can to ensure the naira fends off against the dollar. But the question is, how sustainable is that effort? Is it really sustainable? The more sustainable way of defending the naira against the dollar or finding a way to firm it up is when we do the hard work, and we are not seeing anything in that regard here. The hard work of returning the economy to a productive one, not an import-dependent economy. We have to do the hard work. We have to roll up our sleeves and buckle our shoes and do the hard work of returning the country into a more productive economy than this import-dependent economy. Whether we like it or not, until we get to that point where dollars, forex, flows naturally into the economy, not this knee-jerk approach or what we call a short-term approach of creating liquidity, we may return to the solid days where we had a free fall. So yes, we understand that at least some monetary restructuring and reforms are leading to what we're seeing now. That's some level of positive that we can continue to open and hope it goes more sustainable. But the reality is that, look, we are still not where we ought to be. There's still a lot of work that needs to be done. And if we're talking about other things, there are still critical parts of our life that governments have not been able to fix. The power sector is still there. The agri sector is there. Insecurity is still a problem. You just read it out this morning, Sandra. It's still a big problem, insecurity in the country. Our farmers are still not able to go to farm. The power sector, look, I think there's a story about the national grid collapsing severally in the last 1 month. That's still a major source of concern, Sandra. The health sector is still in comatose. Education is not where we want it to be. We still have poor infrastructure across the country. There's a lot that still needs to be done. Upon that, we have serious corruption in the system that we have still not been able to tackle. So we are not where we want to be, and there's still a lot of work to be done.
Thank you very much, Saidfa. Let's move on now. That story, of course, like I mentioned, you can get it. It's a long read. You can get it all on pages 2, 7, and 27 of the Punch newspaper. Moving on from that story, we have here TCN, the Transmission Company of Nigeria, raises the alarm over planned attacks on power facilities, and that is on page 25. So just very quickly, let's see what we have here. Should we be concerned, or what exactly is the situation? So following Thursday's national grid collapse, just last week Thursday, the transmission the Transition Company of Nigeria has raised the alarm over a planned attack on its facilities in Zuba, Gwagwalada area of the Federal Capital Territory. And they said there were alerts on planned attacks on the power installations in Zuba, calling for heightened vigilance. Hey, so,
who are they telling to be vigilant?
That's a very, very valid question for that, because I wanted to ask the question that I wanted to look at. It was these security operatives that is giving this out, or Nigerians should protect. Nigerians should protect the power plant or the power facility. What exactly is happening here? But anyways, that's the high. We're on high alert, so everybody should be on high alert as regards.
To go and defend the transmission line. Which high alert are you talking about, Sandra?
People
and let us wait. There was a story recently. I think it was one of the papers that did an investigative report, that it was said that some of these attacks on our transmission lines are as a result of internal sabotage. Where some personnel of the TC connive with some of these vandals to lead this destruction, on the fact that when these things are destroyed, monies are released for their repairs. And of course, we've had this consistent attack on our transmission lines. Again, the allegation is that vandals attack these things and all of that. Somebody was asking me a question recently, Sandra. When you attack the transmission line, what do you take away? What exactly do you take away? And if this report is saying that, there's a planned attack on some transmission lines, attack to achieve what? Is it just a form of sabotage? Is it a national sabotage? Or these are vandals?
They're looking at it as vandalism. Exactly. They're looking at it as vandalism. Maybe they just take away the wires and bolts and I don't know.
On transmission lines, and how do I put it? How what kind of money are they making? And if the TCN officials know that this vandalism happened, what efforts have they made to secure the transmission line? You understand what I'm saying? Because you put it on high alert. Other people cannot help you to secure some of these facilities. They have to be the security operatives with the DCN giving them useful information and intelligence on what they have discovered. But I just think that, look, and that's why somebody like me thinks that we need to unbundle the entire thing. This lumping of all of this TCN, because basically we're talking about the national grid. If it is now difficult for us to secure the transmission line, can we just unbundle the thing? The smaller, the better. I think when we have it in smaller units, we'll be able to better manage and secure some of these facilities. I think it's too big for us, really, to manage and secure. And if that's the problem, let's just unbundle it. The earlier we do that, the better.
Yeah. Well, the story is on page 25 for those who like to dig further. Finally, on the front page of the Punch newspaper, Dangote 106 others get tax holiday over 2.5 trillion naira investments. And that's on page 21 of the Punch. Very quickly, deserving or not, about 107 companies, including Dangote and Mikano International, are currently enjoying tax exemption from the federal government despite its insistence to discontinue the program and drastic steps to improve its revenue base.
And it's one thing to say, it's another thing to do. You keep saying that not doing.
Here we are. Here we are. This is where we are. That's where we are. They also increased the number of beneficiaries enjoying pioneer status under the Industrial Development Income Tax Act from 24 to 83. Okay, and this was disclosed in the latest Pioneer Status Incentive Report that was released by the Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission. All right, so Pioneer Status Initiative has shown that while requests of 79 firms were newly received, 211 firms are pending. 56 companies had the application approved in principle, while 19 firms were granted incentive extensions for another 3 years. Anyways, what we have now is just very quickly for someone who's probably wondering what Pioneer Status. The Pioneer Status is an incentive that is offered by the federal government, which exempts companies from paying income tax for a certain period. Exactly. So this tax exemption, it can be full or it can be partial. So that's what Pioneer Status Incentive is. And it's offered under the Industrial Development Income Tax Act with tax release for a 3-year period. And the incentive is generally regarded as an industrial measure aimed at stimulating investment in the economy. But then we have a major debt issue, and we have a serious revenue drive, or we're looking at, or we've been observing a serious revenue drive. So with the likes of Dangote, Mikano, and all of that, and then you have the tiny businesses under there struggling to survive in this economy.
By every tax, multiple taxes.
Exactly. Fuad, what do you think?
Well, again, I thought that the tax reforms committee had announced, there's a tax reforms committee that is still working.
There's any Mr. Tayo.
I said that, look, one of the things they'll be reviewing is this tax waiver exemption policy of government. Because again, yes, waivers happen all over the world. Tax waivers, tax exemptions.
Of course.
It's not anything new. But again, I think it must be done in a more transparent manner. So that you don't have the big boys enjoying these things, whereas, the smaller ones are groaning, heavily burdened by these multiple taxes and waiver and levies. So again, what we need to check the books. We need to count the cost and see whether the waivers we are getting, the waivers we are giving to these big companies, is actually commensurate with what we are getting from them. You understand what I'm saying? Because you just said it, Sandra. This is a government that has gone on an aggressive income, generation policy. They are widening tax rates. They are after everybody, ensuring taxes are paid and all of that. But you can't have a tax policy that favors a few Nigerians, whereas the others are not favored. If you ask me, every business in Nigeria now wants a form of tax waiver. In fact, not just tax waivers, they need some form of support. Even the media will tell you that this is the time to find a way to support the media. Because of the cost of operations, power and all of those kinds of things. But again, here we are, despite the committee recommending to the government that these waivers have to stop, at least for now, until it is properly reviewed and ensure that there's right element of transparency. These guys are still enjoying these tax waivers. You understand what I'm saying? And I think that, look, we've overfed some of these guys. We've overfed some of these guys. I know what I'm saying. When I say overfed, you know, apart from tax waivers, we give them special incentives when it comes to forex. You know, whether we like it or not, I was telling some people some few days ago that, look, Nigerians have a right to begin to ask questions about Dangote refinery. Yes, even though it's privately owned. But we have a right, because again, a huge chunk of the dollar requirement to build that refinery came from the Nigerian government, from the CBN. I'm sure the dollars were given as official rate. How many Nigerians enjoy that kind of privilege? Apart from that, the NNPCL eventually even invested $2.5 billion to get a 20% stake from it. So how many Nigerians get that kind of support, that kind of largesse? It's only a few. And that's why the rich get richer, the poor continues to suffer. And I think that as a matter of urgent policy, the government now should begin to look at how to support SMEs rather than the big companies to engender what you call organic growth within the economy. I think it should now be more of small businesses. Businesses that run on 5 million, 10 million, 15 million budget. How do we support them? Not the big guys who we overfed, really. And if you look at them, what do they give back to the economy? A lot of the things they produce are still extremely expensive, part of the rich of ordinary people. These are profiteers who think only about profit, not about the national good. So if we want organic development as engendered a real economy, we have to begin to think of how to encourage SMEs, the small business organizations, to thrive. And I think more of the manufacturing sector should also get some of these incentives.
Thank you very much, Said. For the list of companies that have benefited are clearly, stated here on page 21 of the Punch newspaper, and I'm seeing Jigawa Rice Limited here. That's an interesting one, but then is probably written here. But then tax incentive has been a contentious issue due to the high amount of revenue that we lose to waivers every year. And it was recently disclosed that companies operating in Nigeria receive tax incentive worth 6 trillion naira annually. So that's basically almost what we're losing every year due to these tax waivers. But then officials of the Tax Reform Committee have maintained that incentives were meant to boost foreign direct investments, because what I learned from
we should be transparent about it. We agree. That's always the truth. But it's transparent.
Yeah, but what I've learned from this Pioneer Startup incentive is that the products or companies that are eligible for it are those that do not already exist in Nigeria. So, say Fuad, maybe you come up with Fuad something that doesn't exist in Nigeria. I guess you should be.
So what are those things that don't exist? That's why we're talking about transparency. Who are the guys getting the waivers?
What are the criteria?
Justifications for the waivers? The criteria and justifications for getting the waivers. Yeah. I think some guys are overfed, really. We've overfed them. Okay. Too much support.
All right.
They are like the owners of Nigeria by proxy.
One way or the other. You're listening to Trends in the Papers on Mainland 98.3 FM. Apologies, I should have stated this earlier in the show. We're live on Facebook and YouTube. Thank you to those who are joining us on our Facebook and our YouTube platform, and also to those who are with us via Radio Garden. Thank you very much as well. Radio Garden is an app that you download on your phone. In case you're unable to, use the a normal, transistor radio, you can just have the app on your phone and search for Mainland FM, and you get to listen to us from wherever you are in the world. Moving on now to the Guardian newspaper, the major headline there: oil theft persists in Niger Delta despite militarization and private security. And so the story is on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. And, reported oil theft incidents in the first quarter of 2024. That's interesting. We already have this high amount and all. But then in February 2024, we had a 1.3 million barrel per day production volume. But then a lot of it has been stolen, because in the first quarter of 2024 alone, we've had over 2,400 oil theft incidents reported. All right, and that's why we have our oil production is struggling to meet the 1.78 million barrel per day target, because as at as at February, what we have, the volume production was 1.3. So let's just quickly run through, this story that we have here, page 6. Just last week, we were talking about, the militarization of the Niger Delta, the private security arrangements. Is it worth it? What exactly are we supposed to gain? And I remember someone said, whether we like it or not, for years to come, there will always be oil theft. But should it be as much as what we have here? We have almost 60 to 70% of our oil is going somewhere that we do not know, or whether we know or we do not know. That's left for,
people that know.
Exactly.
Yeah,
all right. So what we have is, despite the militarization of the Niger Delta region and involvement of private security outfits in the past 18 months by the NNPCL to safeguard oil production and reduce crude theft, Nigerian elites who have been accused of stealing the nation's crude appear to be unrelenting and outsmarting the system in an unabated theft. This is an interesting read. I'm reading verbatim what is in the Guardian newspaper. Please don't, I'm not paraphrasing, don't come for me. So what we have here is, most stakeholders insisted that many approaches deployed by the federal government and continuous spending by the state oil company have failed, as they call for an immediate overhaul of the security architecture of the oil sector. Fuad.
Well, Sandra, those that know where the oil is going to, they know. We can't be deceiving ourselves. Like one of our callers, Zamora, will say from Alaba, the people that are taking this in are not ghosts and spirits. They are human beings. And we are just deceiving ourselves, really. The Tantita arrangement by our dear Uncle Topu, takes 28 billion naira every year from the coffers of Nigeria. That's how much the contract is worth annually. So that's 4 billion naira a month. And so we need to ask ourselves, if in just the month of March alone, the report is saying more than 2,000 incidents were reported. So what's key to this Tantita arrangement? And it's not just Tantita. You have the Navy, you have the regular army, you have NSDC, NSCDC, you have
there's a lot of
pieces. Everybody is on top of this oil theft situation, and we are still reporting that about 60% of our oil production is stolen on a daily basis. Who is deceiving here? Who exactly is deceiving who here? And that's why people that should know. If you look at the story very well, it's reported that the NNPCL GMD and the past said that, look, our elites are the ones behind this oil theft. Paddy Clark, the other speaker, said no, that look, you need to check yourself. Apart from the elites you are talking about, security operatives are also culpable. And he also says that, look, whether we like it or not, the political class is also culpable. So it's all messed up, really, Sandra. Completely messed up. It's a completely messed up situation. And I don't think we have the political will to do the right thing. Again, ask yourself, how do you get to the point? How did we, as a nation, get to the point where we now have to give the contract to secure our oil pipeline? We have to give it to somebody that was a known militant before. That means you got it so bad within the confines of the house.
Do you think that maybe it could be a situation of, it is the person that, that knows the person that, so the person will be able to get the person that, I don't understand.
Because they understand the terrain. But let's ask ourselves, okay, if as a country we have gotten to the point where we can't do it again, where I don't want to use the words that keep coming to my head, but we've gotten so incompetent with dealing with things like this, to the point where it now has to be a former militant that we're supposed to do it. Was there any KPI? Was there any deliverable given to him that, look, Oga Tompolo, your Tantita arrangement, we are going to be giving you 28 billion naira every year. But we want a situation where our oil production can go back to at least 1.6, 1.7 million barrels per day. We are still doing the same old thing. No, it was worse in the past, because in the past we are doing 1 million barrels per day. Somehow we've been able to move to 1.3, but I think in the month of March, the report is saying we did about 1.2 million barrels per day. This is a country that should be doing about 1.8, more than 2 million barrels per day or night. And that's why some of us are saying that, look, if we still have this challenge with oil production, then all of these conversations about building refineries will come to nothing, will amount to nothing. Because what are we going to feed the refineries now? What products are we going to feed them with? because the refineries will require crude oil to produce. That's why up till now, Sandra, we were only able to get our 6 million barrels of crude oil to Dangote refinery in cycles. And up till today, I don't know of tomorrow, maybe an announcement will come tomorrow, no products are still been lifted out of that refinery since its commissioning almost a year ago. Sandra, April we are here. I think he promised us Port Harcourt refinery in April.
Oh, yes.
And if we look at the figures, let's look at the figures critically. Dangote refinery at full capacity is supposed to be about 250,000 barrels of crude oil per day.
Yes.
So the 6 million we've given to Dangote ordinarily should not last for more than 10 days if the refinery is working at full capacity. And we gave the 6 million, it took almost 3 months to supply that refinery with 6 million barrels of crude oil. The Port Harcourt refinery were told, I think about 400,000 barrels of crude oil have been given to Port Harcourt refinery. That's a refinery of 221 barrels per day capacity. If both the old and new work to full capacity, it means that should not take it for more than 2 days. Right now, we are just fucking around. We are just joking around here. We are not serious about anything. And I know why I'm saying that. We are just joking around here. So, even if we now fix those refineries, what are we going to feed the refineries with? Where will the food come from? That's why the report is saying that even Dangote is already looking at importing food into the country. So, when we talk about lack of intention, lack of goodwill and political will to solve problems, solve motion without movement, this is exactly what we are talking about.
All right. Thank you very much, Said Fuad. Just as you have already mentioned as well, we have the Nigerian Army, we have the Navy, we have the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, all having a series of operations in the Niger Delta. And daily we see pictures and videos showing illegal refineries, showing pipeline points that are being rescued from breaches and all of that. And then we also have a very interesting turn of events when in August 2022, the NNPC hired, a former militant, yes, Tom Polo, to protect oil installations and tackle rampant oil theft for 48 billion naira yearly. But it's unfortunate that even since then, we've had over 2,400 oil theft incidents that's reported in just the last 2 months. For just in 2024, in 2024, that's it. Just in 2024, we've had over 2,400, cases of oil theft. Although the Group Chief Executive Officer of NNPC, Melen Kyari, had admitted that Nigerian elites are the brains behind crude oil theft.
Who are the elites he's talking about? Are they spirits? Are they ghosts?
Who are the elites? Who are elites? What's elitism?
Who are the oil theft elites that he's talking about? Because there are different types of elites.
Maybe we should start from elitism. What's elite? What does it mean? What's the word? Because for they are an elite. Should we look at you?
I'm not an elite. I'm saying these are oil theft elites.
Are you not an elite? You're not.
No, I'm not. It depends. So you should define the elitism you are talking about here. But he should know.
Yes.
The NNPC to tell us who the elite is talking about. If he has that info, he should let Nigerians know. Let's name and tame the devil.
What? Calm down.
Anybody that is anybody that is still behind oil theft, stealing our commonwealth, and putting us in this economic doldrum is as good as the devil. Let's name and tame them.
Well,
if they know, let us know.
Although that had been debunked by Chief Edwin Clark, yes, I think yes.
So what's
I said that he's saying that's Chief Edwin Clark is saying that NNPC and military are the ones behind oil theft.
So, you see the problem now.
So that's the
put the two side by side. Which one would you go for, Sandra?
NNPC is elite.
NNPC is elite that are stealing the oil.
The other people
the man that has been in that region for years, that should know. He's saying that what is the NNPC and the security operatives that are stealing the oil. So which one would you go for?
They are all elites. So they are all complicit.
Don't play politics with me. Would you take the words of the NNPC, SGMD, or you take the that from a class?
Well, it is a serious problem, all theft in Niger Delta. That's why militarization and
but somebody is stealing something. That's what we know.
Yes, elites are stealing something. Whoever they are, we'll get to find out. Maybe their names will be published, like some names that are published that we have not heard anything since then. Sometime last week, some names were published. Another list to be published. We don't know. But then the story is on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. Very quickly, Fuad. We don't have so much time. Residents warn pro-Wike lawmakers over impeachment threats. Yes, I read it earlier on as regards stories that trended over the weekend. The fact that Fᴜභᴜ is having some interesting days ahead, as there seems to be some impeachment threats still, hovering around him. Anyways, the story is on page 5 of the Guardian newspaper. Yes. Also, we have here.
Let's not even talk about it.
Okay, just a minute.
One minute. The reality is that look, Rivers State, a lot of interesting days ahead. Really.
Yes.
Because we still have the state assembly. We don't know whether they are PDP or APC members up to today. We just have a state assembly that exists the way they exist. And the speaker of that state assembly issued a statement over the weekend, threatening the governor that look, if the governor is not careful and he does not obey and implement to the letter the directives and agreement they reached in Abuja, they will result to impeachment eventually. So that's the threat. Whereas you have the governor saying that look, nobody can impeach me. And you also have stakeholders in that state, former politicians, former governors who has also rallied around the governor. The reality is that look, all is not well with Rivers politics and the Rivers people really. The assembly is completely loyal to the man in Abuja, while the governor has his own people, and the back and forth for me has become a problem to governance in Rivers State as we speak. But we'll continue to see what happens eventually because I don't know. I just think that look, there's trouble ahead. Rivers.
All right. Well, finally, off the front page of the Guardian newspaper, financial burden of prosecuting electoral matters in court. So all this go to court conversation, and yes, and the financial implications of it, yes, on Nigerian courts is also a conversation on page 4 of the Guardian newspaper. We have just a few seconds left, so I'll just run through what we have on Vanguard. Vanguard, recapitalization, banks sweat over exclusion of 3.8 trillion naira retained profit. It's unfair to banks and shareholders, investment analysts say. Exclusion in line with Basel III standard, CBN says. Analysts project forex inflow and further naira appreciation. See fresh mergers and acquisitions happening soon. And so, as regards the conversation on exclusion, I think you may have to stay tuned for Milan Business Cafe by 11 for further conversations on that. All right. Unfortunately, that's all we can take at this point now. On trends in the papers. We'll take a very short break and we'll be back by 8:40 for Mainland Focus, where you, our dear listener, you get to be a part of the conversation. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. This is Mainland 98.3 FM.